This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everyone. A lot of us got stuff going on. Just life in general, some challenges present, personal life, you might have stuff going on, work and things like that. And many of us let it get to us. And then we get to the point where we wind up going to a doctor or some kind of medical professional, may wind up getting meds, and you feel better, but sometimes you don't feel as good as you think you should feel after all of that. Nothing wrong with the meds. There's a place for it. But imagine if you looked at it through a different lens, didn't gravitate toward meds, which, by the way, just treats the symptoms, and had a whole new outlook on things where you felt loved, you were laughing, and you were healing. We are going to talk about that today with our professional of the year. And she is a transformational life coach with a lot of insight. Great to have her back. It is Donna Day on the program. How are you doing?
Good. How are you? It's so great to be back. I'm excited.
I'm excited to have you back and to talk about this, because if this was 4 or 5 years ago and we were having this conversation and I had some, things changing in life, I might look at it and say, I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to drink your Kool-Aid, Donna. I don't know if I'm going there. But having experienced a lot of this, I get it now. Not to say that life is always going to be sunshine, lollipops, unicorn farts, and all of that. But it does make a difference when you're intentional about moving your life forward. So let's say you got stuff going on. What would be the first step to start feeling better or being able to better deal with that stuff going on?
Well, people always, feel like when they walk into a pharmacy or doctor's office, they always just have this hope to find like the perfect remedy for like a healthier lifestyle or an energized life or to feel better. But think of it as this as if you walked into the world's quote unquote greatest pharmacy and your shelves are lined, with pills and potions, each claiming to hold the secrets to healing, as we all know, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as you move past the counters and the fluorescent lights, you stumble upon a simple handwritten sign that just reads, "The greatest medicine cannot be bottled. It blooms from within." So even though, like, don't get me wrong, I have a lot of things where I'm on medication as well, but I found that like medications alone aren't, the only answer, because you also have to do the inner work as well. And that, involves a lot of your surroundings, who you're hanging out with, if you're actually going for your passions and all that stuff. And even just something as simple as laughter or one of the highest frequencies, love.
Mm-hmm.
It can make the world of difference, you know?
So I've heard this recently. I always thought that love was the highest frequency vibration, but then I heard that it's joy. Love is like right underneath it. And I
Yeah.
always thought sadness was the lowest vibration. As I come to learn recently, it's shame. That's the lowest of the low. Like it don't get any lower.
Yeah. Shame and guilt. That's what I always classify
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
it. So,
Absolutely. Um, where do we start with this? Because we could give our examples of how we've done it, but what do you
yeah.
think is a reasonable start for somebody?
It's just because this is how I look at it. We live in a culture that's always quick to prescribe a patch, to quick to focus on
Yep.
symptoms, like you were saying, while often ignoring the actual source, from working within. But real radiant health doesn't always come from medicine, as we were just saying. Not the kind that you can find in a drugstore, anyways. So more often it comes from a place that's much deeper and that's closer to home. It's within our mind, our body, our heart, our soul, and our spirit. So, like health is not only a matter of physical condition.
Mm.
This is kind of way I like to put it. It's a symphony of our inner world as well. So it could, what's going on in our head, different things that have been going on in our lives, they impact and your body starts to, show these symptoms. So you have to work on healing from the inside out. And then, the results are more, much greater is the best way to say it.
It's so broadly here
Yeah.
in doing what you're describing, I have done. So I believe and I get it. There's a place for medical professionals, but just because somebody has a white lab coat on doesn't mean they know everything or they have all the answers or that they truly know you.
Exactly.
Nobody,
You
you know you better
know
than anybody, your parents, your
you.
partner, spouse, whatever. Love them, put them to the side. It's you. You
Yep.
have to listen to you. And I'm thinking, step one, maybe what makes you happy? What
Yeah.
brings you joy? Doesn't matter what it is. Could be a hobby, could be I can't- grilling a steak, like whatever makes it, yeah, that little, but little joy, little, um,
Yeah.
they call them glimmers. That's
I
like
like that word.
it's a trend now, glimmers. And I
Yeah.
think it comes from glimmer of hope. I
Yeah.
think.
It
Um,
makes sense.
what's your glimmer?
So for me,
Yeah, why not?
I have a few. One of my major is music is one of my glimmers. That's what I go to. Also baking.
Oh, wow. Look at
Believe
you.
it or not. Yes, and being in the outdoors. Those are things that I like, the ocean especially. Like, I remember a time when I really couldn't like move and my boyfriend at the time, he actually brought me sand from the beach and I put it in like a cookie sheet, and I
Hmm.
just sat with my feet in the sand with one of those sound machines, making it sound like the ocean because I couldn't get to there, but I still was able to ground myself because he brought it to me. So it was quite the experience.
That's what a cool idea. And so true too, because I talk with a lot of energy healers, and they say even having wallpaper of even abstract trees or leaves and things like that, it still counts as a form of grounding, which is so important to just
Right. Yep.
kind of bring you back to home base, if you will. Uh, and you just brought back a memory. Uh, I used to, when I owned this house, it's like maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. Um, I would sit in the backyard and I redid the backyard. It was really nice. Very proud of it. I would put sounds of ocean and birds on all the speakers. I'm a geek and I wired everything myself. And I would sit there on a chair, lounge chair, and I'd be just like, yeah. And it felt like I was someplace else. And the funny part of it is, was it wasn't the plan. The real birds would start talking to the recorded birds.
That's
It's
fantastic.
freaky weird. So you had everything going on there, but
Yep.
it's whatever it takes to feel like you're grounded, but that could be just even walking outside if you can get to do
Exactly.
that.
That's so important. And like when your mind is at peace, your heart feels more open and your
Mm.
soul feels more settled. So, there's that natural easing of tension that's throughout your whole body when you start to just kind of lean into what makes you happy, or as the word joy that brings you joy. And that peace of mind literally acts as like a gentle balm that kind of quiets the noise of worry and stress. And stress is one of those things that definitely ignites a lot of physical symptoms. So if you can bring that down, you'll feel relief in many different areas. So,
Mhm.
but like, think of a time when anxious thoughts left you kind of like tossing and turning at night. I mean, that still happens to me. It happens to everyone, your shoulders get tense and your stomach sometimes gets all
True.
tied in knots. And like in those moments, it's not medicine, but a sense of calm or exhale. That's like a reset that truly soothes and restores you, which is what we were talking about with your experience with the birds and, the sound system and my experience with the sand coming. That's what is gonna help ease those moments and not add.
Yes. And by the way, you brought back another memory. What did I have in that backyard? I completely forgot about it. An area that was about, I don't know, 4 feet by 4 feet. And you know what was in that area?
What?
Sand.
Sands. See?
I made a little beach and put shells down,
Down.
little palm tree. That's and geek over here. Every couple of months, I would rake the sand and make it all clean looking, so it was like a nice fresh little beach.
Well, even that process is like a meditation process where you're
Yes.
raking and combing and creating patterns in the sand. It brings you to a whole nother place.
Oh my gosh, Donnie, you have no idea. And not that I'm obsessed or anything, but I like
Yeah.
to be creative. I had yuccas around the property. I don't know if
Uh,
you ever seen what they look like. They kind of look a little tropical. They've got these green, sharp leaves
oh,
that come
yeah, yeah.
out, and they just kind of go like that. So I had this crazy idea. I can cut them and give them a haircut. I
Oh,
can cut
no.
the parts that maybe turn brown and give it like an all fresh look, and then they would look tropical. I know I'm digressing here, but it was a passion and it grounded me, and I didn't realize that it was doing it. By cutting it, it encouraged it to grow up. So it had this a trunk and it looked like a palm tree. So
That's
they would
so
start
cool.
growing like 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet up. And every like April, I would trim them. Side
Yeah.
note, I had 18 of them. So it would take me
Wow.
and they weren't expensive. You buy them, they're
Yeah.
like, I don't know, maybe $15 or whatever, but they
Yeah.
last forever. They go like they're an evergreen in the evergreen family. They drop down to
Oh,
like,
wow.
20 degrees or whatever. But that would be my passion. I'd be like, yeah, look at,
Uh,
I can't live in the tropics, but I'm living in the
the
tropics. But
tropics. Yeah.
all that was, and I didn't realize it then, that was therapy. I was being therapeutic to myself by grounding as well.
Exactly. And that just that interness works. I mean, there's a time that now I'm thinking of another memory. As one of my exes, one thing he always did for me, he had surround sound completely outside in his like patio area and everything. And I love the stars. So there's something about like getting a blanket and snuggling up underneath the stars and everything. And he, set up like a fire pit and all that stuff. And like it was a little hard to see the stars because it was kind of cloudy. So you got this app out that I never even knew. It was like constellations that you can hold up. So like we were still able to see everything and just having, like the sound of the fire crackling. And me, I'm an ultimate s'mores girl. So even with all
Nice.
my diet restrictions, I have figured out how to eat s'mores still. Just that entire environment, it just kind of like relaxed my entire nervous system. And when you start working from the inner, out, that's what happens. You figure out how to relax your nervous system. And when that happens, all the outside stresses and, anxieties start to just kind of fade. And when that happens, you get this kind of like weight that just is lifted. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, like it's like freeing.
Yes. And then you get, and I know it's hard to see the the end of the forest because you got all the trees in front of you, i.e., life and stress and all of that. It's hard to
Yeah.
see how this can work. But once you start working on it, things come into place. Like you'll start getting clarity because now you're grounded, you're less stressed out. You feel a
Yeah.
little bit of joy, a little glimmer, beep beep, every once in a while. But then the other pieces, those things that, oh God, I can't even think about that. Like that, oh man, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Let's face it, there are things you have to deal with. It makes it easier.
Exactly. And like my favorite thing is laughter. Like how many times have you laughed so hard that you forgot, and it almost like hurt, like you just get one of those big laughs that comes in. And for me, like laughter isn't just frivolous. It's a signal to every cell in your body that life is good because like it's the one thing that your nervous system recognizes that, floods endorphins in and it lightens heavy burdens and is for me, I feel it's one of the fastest ways to lift your vibration. Even if you're having a really bad day and you have like a friend that just kind of knows how to say the right thing to put a smile on your face, think about how much better you feel even though you have that heavy weight on you. Like laughter brings us back to
Yeah.
the present moment, and it just, for me, I believe it really can dissolve tension and infuse us with hope because of, what it does internally as well as externally and just the overall feel it gives the human body.
Totally.
and spirit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, any opportunity you can find laughter, go for it. You
Yeah,
know, it's
you know,
there's what's in laughter? Joy, highest
joy.
vibration,
Exactly.
highest vibration.
So,
Mm.
and for me, like true health is not about aligning your inner world. It's just about, peaceful mind and your heart being at ease and your soul remembers your wholeness and, for a space of laughter and joy and love and, so you can kind of just surround and like wrap yourself in it. And inner practices they're like for me are the true medicine because they're always available. They're within you,
Yes,
every
yes.
day. And there's no cost to it and it is of infinite worth. So that's the other thing is that you don't have to wait on a line for it. You don't have to like wait months to get in with a specialist to see what's going on. It's those tiny things. I'm not saying it's the cure all, but it definitely will help.
100%. And well, as we talk, this is great because you like inspire like things like our brains to start popping. Oh yeah, I got that. I got that. Realizations. Listen to your intuition.
Yes.
It will tell you what you need. The doctor will tell you that you need this pill, but that's going to treat the symptom and
Um,
not
yep.
the root cause of whatever's ailing you at that time. But if you listen to your intuition, it's going to tell you what you really need. It takes time to figure that out. I'm going to give a short example of what I'm talking about here. But I felt a year and a half ago, I need to get out of here. I just need a break. I need to go away. So I walk into a meeting of this men's group somebody recommended,
Okay.
and I'm like, I don't even know what this is. And they're talking about going on a yearly retreat, and you got to sign up soon if you want to do it. I was only in the meeting for like maybe an hour. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. What did I just do? I've never traveled by myself. Yeah, I got on a plane, met other people. I've never traveled by myself with strangers, completely out of my comfort zone. There was cost involved because it was on the other side of the country, but I did it. So I joined this group, and it was all good. Lot learned. But then I kept listening to the calling, and I made a commitment to myself, even within the group. I'm going to go away by myself, and I'm going to go somewhere where I feel I need to go. And I shared with you, I went earlier this year to just on an island, dirt cheap. And then I did it again 4 months after that. Again, dirt cheap. There's not a lot of expense here. But I can say this, two words, life changing.
It is.
It
It's
was, yeah. And
yeah.
I'm looking forward, I don't know, another 5 months. I can pull it off. I can do it again
Yeah.
because I got clarity. I felt like I was home in a weird way in another country, but it was just like I was home with me. I guess
Yes,
that's
I
what
was
it
gonna say
is.
you're home with yourself.
Yeah.
So
And I don't go anywhere, but that worked for me. And it's I've never done it, and it was almost like I want to see if I how this is going to feel. So that was great. Um, but whatever it is that's calling you, listen to it and answer the
yeah.
call. That's where I'm going with that.
Yeah, because like the real prescription for wellness doesn't just come in a bottle. It comes from who we choose to be moment by moment, breath by breath.
Yeah.
That's where the genuine vitality of wellness is born.
Yeah.
So, and that's what you were describing by going on, the vacation just to get away and, be with yourself. And that's home. And when people can learn or feel like they're their own home, that's when healing really can
Yeah,
ignite, because a lot of people always think a place is home or another person is home, but it starts with you.
it does. And part of the reason why I went away, you know, I'm not in a relationship currently. Yeah, I could have went with other people, male or female, whatever, friends, whatever, dating people, whatever. I don't want to. I wanted to go with me.
Yeah.
Because I never did that. And I don't even call it a vacation. Yes, if you want to, it was vacation. I call it a retreat. It was my
Yeah.
retreat because it wasn't just about going on vacation. It was like rediscovering myself.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you've done that in your journey. You've been through a lot of things, things, relationships, and it seems like now you're in a good place because of those
Yeah.
changes.
all of it is growth and lessons, you know? You gotta just see the positive out of it instead of just taking the weight from it. And if you can do
Hmm.
that, it's very transformational, versus restrictive. And, it's hard to do that because when you get hurt and stuff, it's hard to kind of like push past that, but you gotta try to see the glimmer, as you said, in everything, because there's always a lesson or something you can learn so you can stop repeating. And like you go to the beach, like my favorite thing is if I need just to like to de-escalate, I drive right to the Jersey Shore and just I don't care if it's nighttime, I don't care if it's
Yep.
morning, noon, whenever I can, and I just sit in the sand and just enjoy it, and so that's how I recharge and reset, and it's important to do that for yourself.
Do you remember a lot of the times when you've done that, when you've just got in a car, you went someplace, call it a beach, lake, whatever, and you just kind of had your moment? Do you remember some of those moments?
Oh yeah. Just how it felt, like, even just how you felt driving there and arriving versus like after you kind of just settled in and when you left, like
Yeah.
it's like just those little things, it's huge, such a huge change, even if it's only like for like 15 minutes. Something it doesn't have to be like hours, it doesn't have to be long. It's just taking that little bit of time. And it's just freeing. That's how I always, I
Mm.
just afterwards I feel so much more calm, at peace, and like, I don't have the weight on my shoulders anymore because I took the time to actually, just kind of, as you said, gain clarity and sit with myself,
Yes,
you know?
I'm remembering now 7 years ago, I drove to the beach. I had kayaks on my crappy old Jeep, and I was gonna, hit the water. And I just pulled up and put the windows down,
Yeah.
breeze coming in. I'm like, I'm a little tired. I'm just gonna hang here. And then I
Yeah.
did a little bit of work on my phone. After like an hour and a half, I not only felt much better, I got so much work done. Not that I
Right?
wasn't even planning it.
Yeah.
And I still remember that. That was 7 years ago. Why?
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't like I didn't meet a celebrity or some crazy thing going on. It was just like
Yeah.
nothing, but I still remember it because it made such an impact. And I really think that was kind of the beginning of my this stuff is actually really good for you, but I didn't know it was at that
Yeah.
time.
Because, you're kind of always used to being around people to make you
Yeah.
feel better, but
Yeah.
you got to realize it's you, that's where the love and like the wellness and everything comes from. You have to learn how to love yourself so you can truly love other things around you and people, it all comes within. So when you lack that, it kind of lacks around you,
Something's missing it, right?
yeah, because you're missing a piece of it. So how would you be able to give that? It's all about giving and receiving. So if you're lacking a certain part of love or giving love or receiving love or whatever it may be,
Hmm.
then you're lacking the capability of being able to receive or give it. And then that's when little things pop up and,
I
um,
never thought of it that way. Ridiculous. Again, this is how
yeah.
you massage our minds. But many of us feel like there's something missing in our
Yeah,
lives. What, there's something missing. I should have more. I deserve more. Missing, missing,
yeah.
missing. Maybe it's you.
It's within you. You got to find it in yourself before you can find it outside or before you can attract it.
Well,
You know?
then there's that. That's a
Yeah.
whole other podcast on.
Exactly. But
But
you know what I mean? But it's the same thing. And when what you lack, if you give just a little bit more of that, it's gonna give that signal to like the universe and everything and to
yeah,
kind of say, send me a little bit more of this, you know?
yeah. Um, I don't know why I didn't realize that. What's missing? You.
Yeah. Yep.
And because
Yourself.
if you feel like you're whole, it's probably because you've found you
Yeah.
fully connected to you. Then you're not looking for these other things to make you happy.
Exactly.
And you
Because it's
think those
all
things are missing.
Exactly, but they're not missing.
but they're not. And when I say things, it could also be people. How many
Exactly.
times,
Hmm.
I want to, the worst line of any movie ever created was Jerry Maguire, where he says, "You complete me."
Oh, I know.
Bad, bad, bad,
No,
bad.
I know because it sent the wrong message. It can have a good message to it, but most people, the
Yes.
way they interpret it, it's like you need someone else to be whole. You need yourself to be whole.
1 billion%. Donna, what's the best way to connect with you? Somebody's got questions. They want to figure this or better figure out what we're talking about here. How do they do that?
Set up a strategy session with me on my website at www.donnadaytlc.com. You can also email me directly, which is donnadaytlc@gmail.com, or just give me a call or shoot me a text at 201-719-6991.
I think we should create another website or domain and just call it gpstu.com. Because you're the GPS to us to help us find us.
Oh, I like that.
I'm always thinking. Thank you for today and validation for a lot of things for me and also realization for all of us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, have a wonderful day, and thanks again for having me. It's been wonderful.
Likewise. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.